What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another Real Talk / category Small Talk. I'm your man Sterling, and we're here with Trina. That's her new name, okay? Your full name being? Yekaterina, but out here we call it Trina sometimes. You know, I call it Kacha. A lot of people have different names for it, okay?
Yeah.
So anyway, today we're getting into the small talk topic today is...
How to study language better?
How to study language better. In a real short explanation, okay? So you speak Japanese?
Kind of.
So, you know, in Japan, it's hard to really mention that or talk about that because Japan is kind of strict. If you don't speak it perfectly, it's almost like you don't really speak Japanese. So, and not only that, but there's a humbleness in Japan. So even if people are like, hey, you speak Japanese well, you always say, oh, no, or I don't really speak it. You know, it's just something that you do in Japanese. So it filters in our brains, and now we're submitting and saying, but we actually speak Japanese. She speaks Japanese, I speak Japanese, at least on a conversational level.
Yeah, but still I want to do less mistakes.
Well, yes, fewer mistakes. See, that was a mistake. So we always have to get better. So of course you're never going to get perfect. But how do you speak, or not, how do you study language better? Or what do you do to study your language? You know, we'll start with you.
So it really depends on the level.
Okay, for a person who is basically able to speak the because the basic is always easy. Okay, you got to learn the nouns, you got to learn the verbs, you know, everything, you know. So you got to learn the basics. That's just what it is. Get a book, take a class. But when you get to that level where you kind of can speak, but you want to be able to speak better,
You need to think to find something that what is really interesting for you personally. So like find your own topic which you want to know
such
more.
as like, what's your topic?
I know, I like fashion, for example. So I watch a lot of fashion shows, a lot of
In
stylists.
Japanese?
No, in English. I mean, to improve any language. I mean,
Okay. So what would you do with Japanese?
So in Japanese, I'm kind of stuck. So my level now is high enough, but I still cannot read like not textbook. I mean, like real, like if I get a newspaper, I cannot read it yet.
Do you want to read it?
Yeah, because I live in this country. I'm going to stay here as long as I can.
It's very interesting. I started that's how I studied. I read newspapers, and my homestay family kept giving me Japanese newspapers, and I was so obsessed with kanji. That's how I studied it. I'm to the level now where I'm not interested in Japanese newspapers. I don't know if I'm interested in newspapers.
No, I want to read the books, but the books, like book language is so complicated. So like to get to that level I don't know how long would it take me.
Yeah, it takes time. The thing about Japanese is they have these characters called kanji. So they have many meanings for one character. So the best way right now to do it is get an app. There's a little kanji drawing thing, and once you learn how to draw kanji, basically the order, then you can always draw that in and look it up. But
for me it's not a problem to draw. I know how to do it.
Right, but when you're reading a book, you don't really want to do that every time you're trying to get in the book. So you really have to just study kanji more. I would suggest for you, if it came to reading, then get manga.
But I don't like it.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't like manga. But for people who like manga, that's why you notice Japanese is a little bit easier to speak. Because
for people who like animation, I just cannot watch it. I don't like it. I don't like the style.
Teach his own. Okay, but you would say newspaper, or not newspaper, just get into some special
topic. Which is like, in this case you would want to know so much on that. So like it doesn't, you need to find something interesting. So for me the problem, like Japanese television or videos or whatever, they're so narrow. They don't go deeply into something. So I cannot find something interesting. So I like stand-up shows or something funny, but like in Japan it's only manzai and like rakugo. And it's so like not funny for me. So if I can find like stand-up in Japanese, I would watch it like day to night.
Yeah, downtown is the big one. The thing about it is, this is what happens when there's no cultural exchange going on in a country. So Japanese don't have a cultural exchange with other cultures, so there's no mixing. So it's strictly Japanese, and At the beginning, when you come here, you're just into everything because it's just so different. But then when you realize it's so limited, it's hard to stay interested. You know, it's very hard to stay interested.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't know, like how to
Yeah, yeah. Again, we're talking about languages in general. We might get into a video on how to get into Japanese specifically. I was into anime. I'm not really into anime anymore, but I was really into it. I was into reading the manga. And then the main thing I did was I lived here and tried to do everything on my own. So if you live in another country and you're not picking up the language, you know, that's really your problem.
So basically now I'm thinking, because my daughter is gonna, next year she's gonna to go to a Japanese school, so I will learn a lot of Japanese because I will have all those meetings, go to the school, like talking to mothers, teachers. In this case, I will improve a lot, I believe.
Okay. Well, that transitions into my topic, or not my topic, but my point is there's two ways to learn a language. You can do it actively and you can do it passively. Okay, passively is the easy one. Reading, listening, watching movies, all that kind of stuff is very passive. It's just easy to do. And like she said, if you find something interesting, then you can just listen to it, or just you get into Japanese songs, or you can get into English songs or Russian music, or get into the books and just read or just listen. But it is slow. And when I mean slow, I mean not your knowledge of the language, but
the progress is so slow.
Progress to what? What is the goal of learning another language? The main goal.
To be able to express whatever you want.
Okay. Or simply put, be able to speak. So really it's the speaking that everybody's caught up on. You want to be able to think whatever you think and say it in that language. That's what everybody wants to do. Then everything else is just bells and whistles. You know, if you're really into kanji, you can get into kanji. If you're really into English etymology and the words, you can get into that, but the speaking is the main thing. So speaking wise, reading and listening won't get you there. The best way to get better at speaking is to speak. It's hard to speak, especially if you don't get to know anybody, or let's just say you're married and you don't have a chance to go out and meet a whole lot of people, or like you just said, you had a child. And it's just hard to be social. That's why it's easier for college students to pick up. Active is easier to make progress, which is speaking and writing. But active is much harder. You know what I'm saying? When do you have the chance to speak? Unless you go into a class. When you have the chance to write anything. Like I tell people, write a diary. Most of the time you don't even feel like doing that. You know what I'm saying? You'd rather read something, but you don't want to write, you know? And those two ways, those four things, right, are the main points. Is the speaking, writing, reading, listening, and then reading and listening is the passive, and then the speaking and writing, the expressing, like she just said, is the difficult part. Okay, and I would suggest, like she said, find something interesting and try to make it as active in your life as possible. Activate it. So, like she just said, her daughter is learning Japanese. Now you have a reason to always have to use more Japanese. And you actively do it. If you're a Japanese person who wants to teach English to your child, again, it doesn't matter if you can speak English or not, just the basics. It will keep you thinking about English by saying it with your child. Get a friend if you can. You know, for me it was, you know, get a girlfriend, you know, but do something.
It's important to find an environment where you can use it.
Where you can use it, yeah. And not use it on just a shallow level.
Yeah.
Okay? Because that's the other thing. A lot of people only have this shallow level of English, I noticed over here, where they come over to Japan, or they're Japanese, and they can speak English in this one context. And I call it the first meet context, where you can get past the first meeting. But if I meet you another time and another time and another time, and then I get to know you for like a year, and you're still talking to me like we just met, that's a problem, you know? And then you have to get into deeper things, but getting into deeper conversations means knowing more English or knowing more Japanese, you know? So Americans, not me personally, but a lot of Americans like to talk about politics. Japanese don't like to talk about politics. So I tell Japanese, you better get into learning politics or spiritual things, or a really good base one is just expressing feelings like love and hate and sadness and happiness. It doesn't always have to be happy and positive and yeah. You can talk about real problems, you know? And if you can get a friend, a true friend, then you'll notice how good your language will get. Because when you actively talking to this person and they get to know you as a person, you get much better, much quicker, you know? Good luck with it, you know? But I think this is a lot harder to find, but in the end, if you find it or look for it, it's much easier to progress. You think taking the English lesson or the Japanese lesson is the easiest route because it feels easy. You think just listening to English on your headphones is easy enough. Yeah, it's easy, but the progress is going to be real slow. You know what I'm saying? So that's my advice. Get activated in your life. You know what I'm saying? You know, be active with it. The more active you are, the better you'll get at it. All right? So that's it.
Yeah.
All right.
Today.
Yeah. Do you agree or disagree?
No, I agree.
Okay, cool. I hope you agree too. Check us out. Real Talk English. Peace.
See ya.